What's up, Jet Nation? Chris Gardella coming at you with a recap on Jets minicamp, which concluded last week. Wanted to discuss some takeaways, both good and bad, as we begin to limp our way towards training camp and the start of the 2019 NFL season. Takeaway number one is that the Jets continue to be woefully thin at the cornerback position. New GM Joe Douglas has made a couple of waiver claims trying to fill out the back end of that depth chart. But the primary concern is looking at the top two starting cornerbacks in Tremaine Johnson and Darryl Roberts. Starting with Darryl Roberts, he's never been a full-time starting cornerback in the NFL. He's looked pretty good in limited action with the Jets going back the last couple of years, but to thrust him into a starting cornerback position when he's never done it before is certainly a reason to be concerned. With that said, his success is largely going to be contingent on Tremaine Johnson's ability to start playing like he did as a Ram, as opposed to last year, his first year as a Jet. Tremaine Johnson, the beat writers have been reporting, came into camp looking much lighter, faster, quicker than he did this time last year, which I guess is a good thing. But for anyone who has followed the reports that come out of training camp around this time, you should know that we are constantly being fed these kind of fluff pieces about how players have dedicated themselves in the offseason, and last year was an anomaly. This year is going to be different. I can go back to Chad Pennington working on his footwork and doing shoulder workouts and how his arm is stronger. Jonathan Filma used to live in the weight room during the offseason and packed on pounds of muscle to be able to take on pulling guards. More recently, Buster Screen with his dance studio and how he comes in at 3% body fat. Still can't seem to cover a slot receiver, though. D. Milner, did yoga 1 year to prevent injuries. Bottom line is none of this stuff ever seems to work out in the Jets' favor. And I think it's just a really easy opportunity for beat writers to, push out some content to justify their existence for their respective publishers. So I'm kind of disregarding this news around Tremaine Johnson. I'll believe it when I see it. And see if he can kind of get back to his old Pro Bowl form. Takeaway number two is regarding the Jets' outside linebacker position. Joe Vitt had some really complimentary words for Jordan Jenkins. He had mentioned that Jenkins came into camp this year looking great, much stronger than he was last year, which I found to be a little bit curious because Joe Vitt wasn't here last year. So he really has no frame of reference to compare Jordan Jenkins' strength level. Maybe he was looking at Jordan Jenkins on film and he sees that he's stronger this year, but I found it to be a little bit odd that he was commenting that he came into camp this year stronger than he was previously. Whatever. Maybe he was trying to throw a good veteran player, some compliments for, kind of going about his business the right way. What I found more interesting was how those comments about Jordan Jenkins compared to Joe Vitt's comments about Jets rookie outside linebacker Ja'Kai Polite. When asked about Polite, Joe Vitt held his cards very close to his chest, didn't offer any kind of compliments on him, and really just kind of dismissed the line of questioning, saying Polite hasn't done anything yet. We have to wait and see. He's not able to comment on it, which I think could be a cause for concern. Obviously, Ja'Kai Polite, since declaring for the draft last year, just had a disastrous run with some terrible interviews with some teams, coming in out of shape, running a terrible 40 time, blaming everyone else but himself for his drop as a mid-first rounder to mid-third rounder. So I certainly don't think it's necessarily a reason to be super concerned, but it's certainly not giving you any reason to feel really good about Ja'Kai Polite's first couple of months as a Jet. So we'll have to kind of wait and see on that. Takeaway number three is the running back position. Le'Veon Bell kind of dismissed the reports about him not doing much. He hasn't played football in whatever it is, 18 months. So I would expect him to be to kind of use this time to knock off some rust. Ty Montgomery, I think, will be on this roster when the dust settles as either the number 2 or number 3 back, alongside of Eli McGuire and Bilal Powell, who I think actually will end up making this roster. I think the top 3 running backs is going to be Le'Veon Bell, Eli McGuire, and then Bilal Powell. And I think Ty Montgomery is going to make the roster as a kind of a chess piece, if you will, a utility guy who can play some slot receiver, can fill in for a running back should one of them go down, which is more likely than not if you look at everyone's kind of previous history with Le'Veon Bell has a long injury history, Bilal Powell, and then Eli McGuire. So I think Ty Montgomery will make that roster because of his flexibility and ability to play multiple positions on offense as well as special teams. And then the odd man out in that group is going to be Trenton Cannon, who I haven't heard much coming from his end this year, but I have absolutely no expectations that he's going to make this team. Just does not look like an NFL player to me. Yeah, maybe in shorts and sneakers, he can run fast in a straight line. When he's on the football field, just hasn't shown much. So just wanted to get you guys some content on the Jets training camp or mini camp that just concluded. If you liked what you saw, give it a like, thumbs up, subscribe, and we'll get back to you in the next couple weeks. Thanks, guys.